Hello everyone. In the previous video lecture, we saw three kinds of Vakratas under Pada-pūrvārtha-vakrata. In this class, we are going to see two more varieties under Pada-pūrvārtha-vakrata, namely liṅga-vaicityra and kriyā-vakratā. First, let's take a look at liṅga-vaicityra. What is liṅga-vaicityra? Liṅga-vaicityra is Vakrokti with respect to the gender of words. This variety is of three kinds. The first variety is found when two genders, quite distinct from each other, are employed to denote one and the same object. The following is an example of this variety of Vakrata, where two distinct words belonging to two different genders are used to denote the same thing. While placing on his shoulder a wreath produced with effort by all seasons, the lotus of Lakshmi's hand, kriyā-vakratā, shedding drops of honey, was turned into a lovely ear ornament, Karnapura. In this example, Lakshmi's hands or kriyā-vakratā, which is compared to a lotus, appear to be a lovely ear ornament or Karnapura. Here, it is her hands that later look like as a lovely ear ornament. Here, the word kriyā-vakratā is neutral gender and Karnapura is masculine gender. Although the word used to refer to the hands was neutral gender, it turned out to be of masculine gender when it was imagined as an ear ornament by poetic fancy. Here, the base for the two words are the same, but two words belonging to two different genders are used to refer to the same base. Now, let's take a look at the second variety of liṅga-vaicityra, where even though other genders could be used, the feminine gender is specifically preferred. Kundaka explains this variety in detail. Though the name of an object could be used in all the genders, poets are seen preferring the feminine while designating that object. The purpose is to achieve beauty. It is so because even a name in the feminine is pleasing. The designation in the feminine itself is appealing to the heart, for it becomes suitable for association with rasa, etc., to produce a new sense of beauty. The following example that Kundaka cites will illustrate this variety further. Here is the shore burning in summer heat, presenting a distinctive paleness. The leaves of creepers shaking in the wind of hot sighs. Indeed, the shore suffers hard. Again, there is a cloud with the glory of defeating moon. Therefore, I can imagine the impending conquest of earth by this lovely shore united with the cloud. Here, the Sanskrit word used to refer to shore is tadi. Although there are words in all the three genders to denote a shore, the poet has very specifically chosen the feminine word tadi. This word is chosen specifically to denote the romance between the hero cloud and the heroine shore. Kundaka notes, it provides a basis for suggesting the love affair yet to come between the heroine shore and the hero the cloud. Now, let's take a look at the last variety of Vakrokti under liṅga-vaicityra. In this form of Vakrata, although other genders are possible, a specific gender is significantly used by a poet in harmony with the idea to be conveyed. Kundaka cites numerous examples for this variety. The decision on the gender in this context is taken by the poet to suit the context. The next variety that we are going to see under Pada-pūrvārtha-vakrata is kriyā-vakratā. Kriyā-vakratā is Vakrokti related to an action. According to Kundaka, this particular variety is of 5 kinds, namely the choice of a verb to show the extreme capability of a subject, attribution of an action which is otherwise not possible for the subject to perform, metaphorical superimposition, and finally the concealment of the direct object. Now let's take a look at the first variety, that is extreme capability of the subject. Kundaka says that in this form of kriyā-vakratā, the subject is so independent that he has all the capability required to bring about the action described. Kundaka cites the following verse as an example of this form of kriyā-vakratā. Gauri smiled and said, "Am I beautified by this, my dear?" Shiva covered her with kisses in reply. May that reply protect us. In this example, Shiva could not have possibly indicated the extreme beauty of Parvati by any other action so well than by his kiss. Here, through an action, the poet has expressed the reply of Shiva that Gauri was indeed beautiful. This action is possible only because it is Shiva who is performing it. This shows the extreme capability of Shiva to perform this particular action. No one can kiss Gauri, thereby expressing this message indirectly. Now, let's take a look at the second variety, where an action is attributed to a subject which cannot otherwise perform this particular action. Kundaka explains this variety in detail in the following words. There is another variety of this beauty in action, that is strikingness due to a different subject. The different subject will not only be appropriate in the context, but also be of the same class. Its beauty lies only in endowing an action with a shade of beauty in a way singularly distinct from the results achieved by other subjects in regard to the same action. Kundaka's definition is composed in a very florid style, so you may not be able to understand it properly. So all that you need to remember or keep in your mind is this. This is a form of vakrata where an action is attributed to a subject which cannot otherwise perform this particular action. The following is an example of this variety of vakrata under kriyā-vakratā. Let those nails of Madhu's foe which cut asunder the woes of devotees save you. In this line, Madhu's foe is Narasimha, the man-lion avatar of Vishnu. The line wishes that let the claws of Narasimha protect you, the devotee. We know that the function of claws is to cut things or kill entities. Now, the same claws are presented as capable of protecting someone. Here goes one more example. May that fire from the shaft of Shiva burn down your sin. The function of fire is to burn down things. It causes destruction. Here, by placing fire in connection with one's sin, the function of protection, which is otherwise not possible for the fire to carry out, is attributed to it. The next variety of kriyā-vakratā is that sort of vakrata that is achieved by using adverbs or adverbial phrases properly. The following is an example of this form of Vakrokti. She turned on me a tearful glance, revealing only a third of her gleaming eye, lovely like that of a deer in fright. Here, the phrase lovely like the glance of a deer in fright very succinctly summarizes the modesty of the heroine in the presence of the elders. Now, the penultimate variety under kriyā-vakratā, which can be called upachara manoharida vakrata. Upachara manoharida vakrata is that kind of vakrata where the metaphoric usage gives beauty to the poetic utterance. Kundaka says that metaphoric usage consists in superimposing a non-existent characteristic on an object on the basis of similarity and so forth. And beauty will result from such metaphoric usage. The following is an example of Upachara Manoharita Vakrata that Kundaka talks about. The limbs appear to swim in the surging sea of youthful charm. Breasts and hips unseal the affluence of development. The coquettish graces of the glances clearly dislodge simplicity. Oh, the maiden's acquaintance with youth is very close indeed. This verse is full of metaphoric usages. I'll explain two of them for you. Here, the poet says that the lady's hands are swimming in the surging sea of youthful charm as if they want to swim across to the other shore. We know that hands are not sentient entities. They cannot swim on their own until and unless the person decides to do so. Similarly, the breasts and hips are portrayed as unsealing the affluence of development. Kundaka says that the breasts and hips are regarded as sentient agents, revealing the extraordinary richness of their development. Just as a sentient person seals some important treasure kept in his custody to be used when the time for its use comes, unseals or opens it, so also this action of unsealing is metaphorically applied to the agents, breast and hip, since similar action there in its part. Since similar action is there in its part. The following is the purport of this sentence. That which was latent in childhood as a mere potentiality and remained unrevealed gets its first chance of becoming patent the moment there is advent of youth. Now, the last variety under kriyā-vakratā, which is called karmādi samvriddhi vakrata. In this variety of vakrata or vakrokti, there is the concealment of the associates of an action such as the object, etc. Kundaka says that their concealment is none other than their veiled communication in harmony with relevant significance so as to suggest extraordinary speciality. The following is an example of karmādi samvriddhi vakrata. Oh dear, please slow down the pace of your dance and stop for some time while I fix up your dangling ornament. With these words, lovingly sweet, the crest moon was adjusted by the beloved Parvati. Shiva was indeed in ecstasy then. All glory to that privilege of Shiva. In the given example, the word that conceals something. It has to be assumed by the reader. Here, the word that refers to the privilege of Shiva to have Parvati to assist him to adjust the crescent moon on his head. Now it's time to wrap up the class by summarizing all the major points that we discussed so far. In this class, we primarily saw two categories of Pada-pūrvārtha-vakrata, namely liṅga-vaicityra vakrata and kriyā-vakratā. Liṅga-vaicityra vakrata is Vakrokti with respect to the gender of words. This variety is of three kinds. The first variety is found when two genders, quite distinct from each other, are employed to denote one and the same object. The second variety of liṅga-vaicityra vakrata is that kind of vakrata where even though other genders could be used, the feminine gender is specifically preferred. In the last form of liṅga-vaicityra vakrata, although other genders are possible, a specific gender is significantly used by a poet in harmony with the idea to be conveyed. The next major category was kriyā-vakratā. Kriyā-vakratā is Vakrokti related to the action or verb. According to Kundaka, this particular variety is of five kinds, namely the choice of a verb to show the extreme capability of the subject. The second one is attribution of an action which is otherwise not possible for the subject to perform. The third one is metaphorical superimposition. Fourth one is actually the concealment of direct object. First, let's take a look at the first variety. Kundaka says that in this form of kriyā-vakratā, the subject is so independent that he has all the capability required to bring about the action described. In the second variety, an action is attributed to a subject which cannot otherwise perform this action. The third variety of kriyā-vakratā is that sort of vakrata that is achieved by using adverbs or adverbial phrases properly. Now, the penultimate variety under kriyā-vakratā, which can be called upachara manoharita vakrata, is that kind of vakrata where the metaphoric usage gives beauty to the poetic utterance. The last variety under kriyā-vakratā is called karmādi samvriti vakrata. In this variety of Vakrokti, there is the concealment of the associates of an action such as the object, etc. I hope you have understood all the major lessons that we have discussed so far.